Right. Oh, it's my go. Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the third episode of the Sword Art Online Fanfiction Central podcast. We are your host. I am Panzer. I am joined with my fellow sages, Nain and Len. Say hello, guys.
Hey, don't forget me.
Oh yeah,
you
sorry,
forgot Talon.
sorry, Talon.
Completely forgot.
I'm a sage as well.
My
You guys
mistake.
sure you're the sages and not the knights of the round table?
Yeah, sorry.
The
And
sages of
today,
the round table.
sorry about that. GP, sorry.
That's
And today we're joined by so we have some very important guests. Tiger, hello, say hello.
Hi.
And also we are joined. Hello. We're also joined by Paladin, yeah, who's going to be in the background, and Beyor, which is we're going to be watching in the background as well. So, yeah, the silent listeners are going to be there in the background, just helping out with maybe a little bit of just communication. But so today's main topic overall will be on the third arc of Sword Art Online, of course, which would be the Gun Line arc, which it's bugging me what the actual name is of it, but whatever. But before we get Fatal Bullet, no wait, is that the game?
Well, I mean, yeah, Fatal Bullet is the
Phantom
game,
Bullet.
but...
Phantom Bullet. That's it.
Oh, Phantom Bullet. Yeah, that's what it was called.
I feel so embarrassed. I completely forgot the
AKA
name of the arc.
Georg.
Yeah, let's just
Should
call
be
it
called
GGR.
Bad Guy Wears Skeletor Cosplay.
But yes, before we get into talking about the Gun Line arc as a whole, first, I am not nice. We shall go through some story snippets and talk about some fan fictions which have been written by people which are part of the server. So so we can go into that straight away. Which the first one on the list of four, there's four, which is Patched Realities, done by none other than Tiger. I'll try my best not to butcher anything, but
Hey, butcher it all you want. It's not like it's a brand new chapter. Doesn't bother me.
yeah.
That one's just popular, apparently.
So my major issue is pronunciation of other for like names in that different languages. So if I'm stuck on something, just say what it is.
As long as you can pronounce the normal SAO characters, you're good. There's nothing else normal otherwise.
You'll be fine.
Right. Anyway, let us begin. Patched Realities. The TV was lit with a blinding white glow, and Sigu covered her eyes. Might you? I've butchered it already. Okay. Moving her. Moments later, when the lights dimmed down, the TV was black with words displayed across the screen. The stream has ended. The stream ended? Confusion swirled in Sigu's head. What was going on? What next stage? How could Einkrad not be a game? What's going on? She asked, looking over at her mother with a look of confusion. Bless you, whoever. Bless you. Midori? Yeah, whatever.
Yep, Midori.
Midori. God, I butchered that a lot.
Very good.
Oh God, what's where I
Midori
am?
shared Sigu's confusion.
Just shared confusion. Yeah, for some reason it scrolled down quite a bit. Midori shared Sigu's confusion, but it was already dialing a number and holding her phone up to her ear. She was silent for a moment before someone picked up. Kyoko, what's going on? She was cut off by the ground shaking violently, causing vases and trophies from the shelves to crash down and shatter on the floor. Paintings and pictures to come loose, glass to shatter from the frames, and windows to completely shatter as well. I really like that.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Got there in the end. There
Yes,
we go.
sorry, I would have done that a bit
I just
better, but
realized it said in the second section where it starts with the stream ended, like the quote, at the very end it says, with a lock of confusion instead of
lots of
look.
confusion. Lots of
I'm dyslexic. I don't know what you're whining about.
Does it really matter?
Wait, that's a C? I thought it was an O.
we know what's going on, which is the main thing of it. So,
What?
oh god, a reference to reference to the Harry Potter books where is it Dumbledore asked calmly, and it's just in the film, it's just him charging us. Did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
Oh yeah. Okay, yes,
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Yeah, reference to that.
Harry Potter, did you put your name in the goblets of fire?
Exactly. Perfect.
Brilliant.
Yes,
Well, what do you
there we
want to
go.
hear about past realities? Not giving too much away.
Basically, just basics behind it, I suppose, but without giving too much details away. But just try and entice the reader, saying yes, they want to go and read this.
Well, that's why I chose some good snapshots. So everybody's story sounds fantastic. Past Realities is part of my one-shot series. It's a particular chapter where we bring two worlds together, and the characters now have to go through the pain of both combining the worlds and figuring out exactly how their lives will change, because it's not the same anymore.
That reminds me of the opening for the anime show for Bakugan, where it was like, two worlds collide, and like...
Very cliche. It is a very cliche topic, but it's my own unique little spin on it. Especially since I specialize in AUs, so I mean, why not?
Yeah, it's about. I'll definitely just by that small bit, I'll definitely go and read it. So.
Yeah, but that particular chapter seems to be pretty popular out of all the chapters in Little Moments, at least when it comes to the server here.
Oh, okay. Have you ever considered perhaps building upon it, or are you going to leave it as a one-shot?
I've worked on it. It's not finished, though. It's going to have a sequel one day, eventually, whenever I'm done with this werewolf story.
Wait, say again?
That one's not for SAO, sorry.
It goes back.
I'm writing a werewolf piece, not for SAO. It's for a different fandom.
Right.
Which fandom is it for?
It's just for Love Live, but it's completely turned the characters different. So I've got werewolves, I've got angels, mages, future scryers, vampires, and some other stuff.
Yeah,
so it's just a crazy supernatural piece.
Nice.
I've never watched or read Love Live, or whatever it's called.
Sorry, what?
I've never watched or read Love Live. I think I've heard the title being thrown around, but I haven't actually seen it.
I'm not surprised. The good thing is with all of my stuff, you can read it without having to know any background. So you could take it and have no idea who the characters are or where they came from in the story and just in their normal world, and you'd still be able to read it just fine.
Just throwing it out there. So yes, I'm trying to think of the appropriate segue, but can't think of one. But anyway, let's just begin with discussing the main topic of today, and that is the arc itself, the Phantom Bullet. Yes.
Phantom Bullet. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to be mistaken with. Fatal Bullet, which was the game. Yeah,
Fatal Bullet's the game. I've actually played the game for like a little bit, but then I just lost interest in it.
Pallets.
I wanted to actually base my OC's appearance off my character from Fatal Bullet, but I scrapped that idea.
Okay. It's
Especially since I found someone who looks even better than that.
okay.
You guys know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I think. Yes.
Yeah. Hold on. If we just go to channel stages and yeah, that.
Yes, yeah, I remember that. Yes. Starting with Sinon Best Girl. Yes. We'll go straight away, but just taking it out there. But yes, it's no secret that in terms of what I've watched so far, anyway, Gun Gale Online, the arc itself, is one of my favourites. Well, both my favourite from the first 2 seasons, anyway. I just like how it's presented and the background specifically as well. It does really build up the atmosphere of what it's supposed to be. Granted, there are some issues I still have with it, but
Overall, it's like a lot more well-rounded than the previous arcs.
Yeah, even if you ignore the characters and that, just focusing on the game itself, I picture it being...
Can you imagine the amount of Call of Duty nerds who would flock to that game? Like, especially since wasn't Gun Gale made in America?
Yes, and it's only available in the United States and Japan for some reason. It's not available anywhere else. It's just these 2 countries, but it's
The answer to that is author laziness.
the other reason. Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, it definitely felt a lot more natural, even glossing over the certain issues I have with parts of it, like Kirito basically becoming a Jedi and deflecting all the shots and that. But
oh no, I thought it was great.
oh yeah.
One of the few things that I didn't like about Phantom Bullet was Kirito deciding to pretend to be a girl for some reason. I mean, I guess I can kind of understand the reasoning behind it, but it just didn't sit well with me.
Although, to be fair, him pretending to be a girl led to the single moment where he took the most damage out of the entire series.
True.
That is true, yes. But yeah, I guess this isn't the first time he hasn't hidden something important from other people, so it kind of does fit somewhat well for him in a way. It's like in the first arc where he hid his level from the guilds, and realised that could have been a lot. It could have, was it? So that didn't directly lead to a downfall, or whatever, but he felt like it did. So it's like yeah. Yeah. Right, yeah. So I guess it's one of those things of it could be just a reaction for him, but granted it's not explained or whatever. But I feel like that's a lot more. So that would be a bit of a better explanation. But I feel like there should have been a bit more of a consequence of hiding stuff again, at least for him. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, frankly, that's just another example of Reki's issue with very little character development.
Yeah.
Also not reacting to the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, I don't know. I always find it's annoying to an extent. There's a lot of I throw the word out there a lot. There's potential there, and he does slightly build upon it, but then they don't really go too far, and then it's left as that. Especially go on.
Yeah, the potential is there, and he sometimes expands on it. At least he's only like Rooster Teeth with the Ruby. Oh, they should have wasted potential.
That's an entire other bucket to investigate at a later date.
Yeah.
But yeah, and especially with this arc, I felt like there was granted Anchor is probably top there in terms of there's a lot of potential you can do, but I feel like this one had potential in a completely different direction, if that makes sense. So compared to like the previous ones. Yeah, it's like if granted I understand because Kirito liked his sword, so he decided to use a sword, but I don't know, I felt like he should have at least been more convinced or perhaps forced to use a gun more. Because that would fit more into the game he's currently playing. But yeah, discount lightsaber, yeah. But yeah, it's just gave him 2 years. It's a skin. Yeah, it's a super rare skin from his time spending in SAO, yeah. But yeah, it's also I do made by EA. I I do picture that being for the abridged, just it being made by EA, but it's a trap. But yeah, and also the fact that every single person he came across, they had some form of assault rifle or something, and I felt like even if one person didn't use one, or at least something of a similar line, like instead they used like a shotgun or a rocket propelled grenade or something. Yeah.
If I recall correctly, Liz used a pump shotgun.
Yes.
When she was playing.
But I think that's not until the later bit, isn't it?
It's still the same game.
Still the same game, yeah. It's just, but in terms of the arc itself, there wasn't too much of a. There was granted
Can you
some
really
other.
count that as an arc on its own though? Because it's like what, one episode? That's
No,
it.
I mean,
And then it's just a little bit of it.
I'm just referring to just in terms of like the Phantom Bullet arc as a whole, and just in terms of the weapons shown, there isn't too much of a variety in terms of what the weapons are shown, and it's just usual generic assault rifle and such. Oh yeah, and the fact that he dodging all those bullets and that just show he went full agility. Which I distinctly remember saying that the reason the first guy died or whatever was because basically saying that agility builds are now dead. I remember that. Which would have been interesting to investigate in terms of like meta and that, especially because in MMOs, meta is nearly everything, especially for the top players. But I understand why they didn't investigate too much into what's going on, because it would have taken up way too much time, especially if you want to process this in terms of, like, was it 14 episodes, was it total? Something like that. 13. Thank you, Beyor. I completely forgot how many episodes it was, but I distinctly remember quite a bit of it was spent on the final BOB fight. No, it was Bullet of Bullets.
Yeah, Bullet of Bullets.
Bullet of Bullets. Yeah, which personally, I prefer.
Affectionately call it Bob.
Bob. Yes, it's Bob. But yeah, which is why in terms of, but I don't like calling it Bullet of Bullets. It doesn't sound right. So I like to call it the Battle of Bullets, because to me, that sounds a lot better rather than a Bullet of Bullets. So I felt like I've just gone on for quite a rant.
Hey, rants are good.
That'd be fun.
Because I feel like I should we all want to enjoy it more than I did, but I didn't. I did still quite enjoy it. It's just certain bits which did catch out more than others. Which it's like it's like and they're at least trying to deploy certain tactics and to try and counter other things and such. But of course, how can we mention this arc as a whole without talking more about Sinon and how the Sinon always deserves and how Sinon deserves a lot more.
Mhm.
A Waifu. But I feel like out of the it's granted each of them do have their perks and interesting characters and that, but for me, I feel like Sinon had a lot of had a lot more potential in terms of trying to developing a character, which I feel like it's like kind of tried to do for a little bit, and then kind of did stops, I guess. But I don't know. And does anyone else want to add anything here?
No, moment.
Yeah, okay. It's just basically does everyone think about Sinon as a whole? Would they do they like him?
I hate the crush thing. There's too many of that and sort of.
You hate the what line?
I thought she's got a crush on Kirito like every other girl in the book and the anime. Her character's great. Just don't that part.
You're not allowed to be the odd one out. It's a harem show. You're not allowed to be the one that doesn't love the main character.
Well, I'd understand if it was just an anime, but that's like canon in the books too.
This, as I said, you're not allowed to be the odd one out.
Apparently being different's weird.
Yeah, I felt like if they removed that part of her character and left the rest, I feel like she would have been a lot better overall.
That is unfortunately very true.
Yeah. Although I still do find it funny about the the pistol which Death Gun uses or whatever. It's a huge coincidence that it's exactly the same one as used during her unfortunate. Yeah.
I think, or possibly a better explanation is they just don't know that any other guns exist.
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah. So much missed potential, but Sinon doesn't miss.
Sinon does miss. She's still human.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I can't. Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
I feel like every character needs just like a reboot.
Yeah, you just reboot everything. Oh god. But yeah, God no. But yeah, I feel like as if it has a lot of potential there, and even like maybe have like a spin-off or something just with her as the main character and build upon that or something. I'd watch that.
I've always been thinking of making Sinon a conduit in my story, but I don't know what kind of power to give her. Well, I mean, because in Infamous Second Son, there was this one conduit girl that was one of the main conduits in that game. Her name is Fetch. Her power is Neon, and apparently at the beginning, before you actually meet her, you're like trying to find her, and she has this shtick where she's this conduit sniper, because apparently Neon is a very accurate and instantaneous power.
I see. So perhaps something similar on those lines?
Something like that. But then again, I feel like that would be too flashy.
It has to be, something which is more of a not one-shot potential, I guess, but something on those lines in terms of it's simple and it does the job. It doesn't have to be flashy. That's at least my opinion on it. Yeah. So since we've gone to a good part for here, how about another story snippet?
Oh, my part. Story snippets. Which one was mine? Right, I read this one? Okay. A moment. Yuki's stomach had grumbled loudly, yet she didn't want to eat yet. Her former guild members weren't here yet, and despite them being friends, eating alongside them felt strange. An unexpected, gentle hand grabbed her hand and pulled her along. "Gizmo?" she asked, shocked. "Come with me," the dark elf said, just as gently as she pulled. Fuck's sake, I hate stuttering. Yuki and Aiko had admired the dark elf greatly, and that was mostly the reason Yuki did not refuse Gizmo's invite. Gizmo guided her back to the backyard, to a part she hadn't seen yet. There were some players she encountered on her way, but little did she understand what business they had in the rear garden. It guided her to the backyard, to a part she hadn't seen yet. There were some players she encountered. I literally just read that. Oh, God.
It's continuing, that's fine.
It was at the memorial stones. She suddenly understood. Tears rolled down Yuki's face yet again, and she was unable to hold them back. Any sadness, loneliness, and pain were pouring down her cheeks in beautiful streams of emotion.
Bravo. Bravo.
Yeah.
It's the journey which counts, not the ending.
I'm still 7 chapters behind before I can even introduce Kuro, which is unfortunate. I want to get him in there now, but
So yes, so that was very good as well in terms of what was actually being read as there as well. I did really enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, very good voice and a very good snippet as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got to say about your story, Beyor?
I think he's on mute for now.
No, there's a section.
Yeah. Go ahead if you want.
Text.
What do you want me to talk about?
It's your story.
Basically, just try and entice people to say you try and entice people to say what your story's about, but without giving too much spoilers away. But yeah, just what's your story about and what is it like?
My story is, as the title says, it's unquote but different. There are changes made in the storyline, big changes, small changes. That just change the path the game works and how the story goes. And it's a complete rewrite of the main story with each floor, and not just skips.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Very ambitious. Very ambitious. You won't be worth it all the while. But yeah, thank you, Beyor, for that.
I mean, wasn't that one snippet from chapter 50-something?
53.
Yeah, so it's
There you go.
it's currently on chapter 56. That's a lot of reading. Currently
Yes,
on
indeed,
57. Wonderful. Well, I wish you luck with that, Beyor. Oh yes, of course. One word to win over every reader. Just Argo. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
I've read this story, and I read it a while ago, and I'm a little bit behind in it. But it's like you said, it's a complete reboot. But unlike a lot of the other stories that are reboots, this one's a lot more different. You get a lot more interaction with the characters and the actual floors. So instead of a lot of stuff in detail being glanced over, you actually get to see a lot more of it, and so you feel as though you're inside the world itself, rather than just looking through a mirror or an hourglass.
Marvelous. Well, if what you've intended is exactly what's coming out, so that's always a good sign. But yeah, that's exactly what the series needs. It's especially for such a large part, which is Ironclad, because it has 75 2 years which you can do stuff. 2 years is a long time, so doing it like that, granted it may take a while, but off. But it may take. Oh god. That's fine. It fit very well at the situation, but yeah,
My apologies for that.
it's fine. Boy, that escalated quickly. But yeah, I felt like that's exactly what this series needs. Really, just a reboot to begin with.
A reboot's executed properly.
Yeah, a reboot done well. That's what. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
Back to. Sorry, go on. Yes, I'd say so. Yes. Then.
Oh, right, okay. Just moving straight on then.
Yeah, to the your challenge.
Ah, right. Yes, I know. Right, well, challenge. Yes, that's right. Story challenge. So, I've been thinking this over about trying to get like a server-wide writing challenge for all the authors, or as many as that want to join. And basically, it's just going to be a thing where we set it up, we give everyone a prompt, and they have to go and write about said prompt. It could be, I think the original idea was a rewrite of, for like the first episode of SAO, the first chapter of it. They're all load up the game, find out that they're trapped, and then go off into the world. There's things like that. It could be absolutely anything. People can give their ideas, and I want to My original idea for a reward was admin rights for a week, but there's a few people that might not be too happy about that.
Yeah.
But we'll think of something.
I can make a roll. I could do a roll.
Yes,
we could do so. I can make a roll for the server, and then I can do a custom art piece for their favorite character.
That was it. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. Because I had a title, didn't I? A very long title, which I shortened down. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how many people would join into it and to see what they can put into it as well. Because generally, as a whole, this could be a really fun, entertaining, chaos, and while also being chaotic, perhaps at the same time. Just I don't know if it has if there are quite a few people behind it. I reckon this could be a really good idea. I'll go with that.
It would also just be important for everybody who does participate to remember that it is for fun and it's for practice. It's not as though, we're sitting there judging or writing as though we're some kind of, competition specialist or something. It's just for fun. Exactly. Bragging rights. The other thing is too is that every story is, it's worth it. It's worth to put in there. It's not. Nothing is too low level to be put in. Oh, jeez.
How's that going?
Me? I didn't even bother doing it. I wasn't there, so I don't have to participate.
Spicy. Now you gotta build up to the spice. You can't just throw it in straight away. You gotta build it up correctly.
Classic anime no speed.
Oh, they found the SAO DSBA. Sort of online Discord server best author.
It was originally SAO DS Bra, but took out the R.
We're too immature.
Some of us are, not me.
You say that now.
I think you are the oldest, are you not?
You are the oldest, yeah.
Age means nothing, maturity. Beyor asked how old.
Damn.
But him being older than you still makes you the oldest sage.
The older pupil sage. Yeah. Oh god. The entire sage idea was fantastic was fantastic. And now it's just become its own little separate part of the server with all the chaos, and now the podcast coming off it, and there's a special stuff coming off that as well. And okay, thank you for that.
If I recall correctly, it was originally me creating some kind of old sage character that lives in a hut in the middle of the river. The little walking fish pet thing.
Yes, and they were discussing like what kind of magic you would use as well. Then you could adopt the name of that, and then
it just kind of grew from there.
I think it was a reference or something to Naruto or something with like three special sages or something. Oh yeah, but yeah. And then that's built on to with like Talon being the deep sage because you do very, very good deep voices. And then I changed mine to wise because reasons. And yeah, it's just, and here we are now. Buttons. No.
Pretty sure Twisted does it on his own. Pretty sure he doesn't need any help.
Yes, Twisted does spread around a lot, so. Oh well.
It's funny because on everything he sends over for me to beta read, it has nothing to do with any of that.
Oh yes, and speaking of my horrible segues, I've just thought an idea. So does everyone remember mostly what happens in the arc? So like majority of the scenes in that. I hope so. Can everyone like pick a scene in particular which they really enjoyed throughout the whole arc? Just one scene. Oh, the friendship grenade, yes.
Mine is Sinon taking that shot, even though the scope of her sniper was taken out.
Yes. Einstein's for the win, but yes. But just to show that you don't need it, even if you're all that good, that you don't need a scope. So that just elevates to another level. God, that was a good scene. For me, that was a good scene, yeah. Basically, yeah, just overcoming previous memories and becoming stronger out of that. That was especially. Yeah, that's a good character development.
For once.
Yeah, for once. Yeah, I'll go with that. Just character, just. I mean, what? Yeah, we're getting there. It's only taking like 2 arcs, but we're getting there. It's starting, yeah. It's
you don't even reach the point where he finally actually gets anywhere until you actually start progressive.
Oh yes, the finger gun, the deadliest weapon. It's only the most it's only the most deadly if you shout "pow" when you fire it.
Oh, I just saw the GIF.
the flashbang one. Pow. For me personally, my favorite one was the first time you actually see Sinon with the other group and trying to deal with the other guys and there's the guy with the minigun as well.
Yeah,
that I think was my favorite thing, just not because of was especially the last bit of just diving off the tower and just shooting them and just shooting him. That was good, but I don't know, did it show that? Of course, it's unrealistic carrying around a minigun, but it does show there's at least some idea.
Okay, so I was writing as we were speaking. My second chapter is now at 7,000 words and has exceeded the word amount of the first chapter.
Nice work. But yeah, I know it's with a blame Terminator and Predator for carrying around a minigun willy-nilly, but it's some form of realism, I guess, in terms of you're over a weight limit because you have a minigun, so you walk slower. Even that, just a small little tip, I'm happy. That makes me happy. Just at least like the acknowledgement of, because this is here, we have to do something else. I don't know. It's just something about that I just like. Any other particular scenes where anyone wants to discuss?
Not at the moment.
It doesn't have to be a good or bad one, just an interesting one or something. Yes, it can be good, it can be bad, whatever.
Again, not off the top of my head.
Kirito riding the motor. Oh yeah, wasn't that remarked as being supposedly quite hard to drive, and he just hopped on it and just drove away? Yeah.
It's scary though.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah. Yet again, my headcanon from previously, just doesn't matter what on earth he does, as long as it's a VR game, he is excellent in it, doesn't matter what. I don't understand having a motor in real life, but sometimes not all things pass over, but I guess it does justify it in some way. But
it also depends on if GGO has a skill system that's like ALO, because ALO skill system is based off of what you're capable of doing in IRL.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So was that? I don't remember anything. Was that ever brought up to GGO, or was it just assumed it has a similar thing?
No, it was never really brought up. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess so. It's they basically just released. It was just a basis of build all software off it. So basically, Unreal Engine. It just released Unreal Engine to the VR world. Oh yeah, one thing I didn't fully understand. It was probably just for imagery, but it was a scene where it was part of the BOB where Kirito manages to find yet another like a three-wheeler and manages to get out with Sinon, and then Deathgun decides not to choose another like three-wheeler thing, but instead decides to use a metallic horse.
Reference to Aincrad.
Yeah, in reference to Aincrad. Yeah, I don't understand why that was there in the first place. It was definitely
I think I know what you're talking about. I think it was a reference to how Kirito himself rode in on a horse to confront the members of Laughing Coffin in that forest thing.
Right.
It's a reference. I think it's a reference to multiple different things, because it could also just be a reference to the fact that Deathgun is an SAO survivor. It could be the fact that he's played the game before. It could be from Kirito. could be 100 different things.
Okay, so it was a it was just done more for imagery and a reference back. So that makes a bit more sense now. Just but in terms of I couldn't get my head around it for some reason. Just that one particular bit, and then it was just catching up to a freewheeler for some reason. But it does make a bit more sense now.
Gotta have your world building.
Yeah,
What characters like.
Yeah.
Characters.
At least it was a Sorry, go on. Yeah, I did. It is nice to see in a way of saying that it's good to progress in a story, but it's good to have like links back to previous events so you can see if at all, I guess, characters developed from it. So like having Death Gun to appear again, or Death Gun or Lock and Coughing to appear again, just to show how much has changed since then and why things haven't changed as much as they should have in other respects. So it was nice. It was that I felt like Death Gun as a whole was a good villain, at least, for that arc.
I think he's the villain with the most character development.
Yeah, especially with the younger brother as well, which was it. Oh god. Yeah, but yes, it's because because the younger brother wasn't a part of. He wasn't part of SAO. It was the older brother, but then the older brother convinced the younger brother to basically saying he was a hero, basically, of what he was doing and how good he was. So of course, as a younger brother, you look up to your older brother saying how good they are. So that would, that would change him to how he became. So, oh yes, and Horse's best boy, yes. But yes, since last chapter, of course. But so, yeah, since we've reached a good point again, how about we go over another story snippet? Yes, you have. Yes.
I can read it if you want. Patience is a good.
Yes.
Yep.
Bravo.
Why?
Great work.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm playing Skyrim, and I was using my Warhammer Volendrung, and I was fighting these vampires. It was the last vampire. I took a sideways swing and slammed my Warhammer against the side of that poor vampire's head, and he did 3 cartwheels.
Wow.
There was blood everywhere. Oh.
So
I
yes.
almost feel sorry for it, but I don't.
Wow. Oh, I'd say you did.
Yeah, I think it was fine. It's fine.
Yeah, same. It definitely it was. All of these are fantastic. I have to say, all these snippets.
Oh, most certainly.
Yeah.
It will. I shall mentally prepare myself for my turn then.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
As I said before, we'll just let Tiger talk now.
Yeah.
There you go.
I am very familiar with this one. I'm the beta reader for this one, actually.
Ooh.
So I'm very familiar with this one. This one's concept is very different from any of the other stuff I've read. I've never actually seen a concept like this before. But the basics are Asuna has just been recovered, and everybody thought she's been missing for a long time. But she's not the same anymore. She's a little bit different. And as to why she's different and how, I'm not really going to say because that'll spoil a little bit of the story. But what we see a lot of here is character interaction on how much they really care about Asuna, but also they still act very in canon. My favorite character from the story so far has to be Rika, or AKA Liz. Her reactions to everything are spot on, and her character, her blah, 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 blah. I'm also playing a game at the same time, so my brain's like, what am I doing? She's portrayed very, very well. So we see a lot of the different sides of her instead of just the teasing tsundere. We see a lot more. We see a blacksmith, we see a best friend, we see a lot more of her character, and along with everybody else as well, which is really interesting. So my favorite part of the story is definitely the character development, and I definitely encourage people to read it because it's definitely unique.
Yeah, that's always a really good thing, especially with characters as interesting as we mentioned. It's good to see them develop in certain ways which are very interesting to which are incredibly interesting to read. So yeah, it's definitely be a fine addition to my reading collection.
This will be the fire.
I'm saying by name. I'd rather be a mod. I'm good. I'm kidding.
Why so serious?
Come on, we all have seen the proof of me not being serious. Just look at all the different animation stuff that's been still in the middle of being finished.
Nain, you have a pupil.
That's the one problem I have with text. Is the tone that you try to put across isn't always.
It can be hard to read tone, but also put it in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it doesn't hurt to try in terms of just, especially if you want to get a certain tone, and that's why it's having people BT your work is really useful. Saying that if you want to say I want to get a certain tone out of this, they can read through what you have, and if they're not getting that feeling which you wanted to get out of it, then perhaps you can alter something to make and ask what you can do better to evoke certain emotions and that. So.
That's what betas are for. That's what we exist for.
Yep. No beta, we don't.
I mean, I say no beta, but I've I've been having Tiger read things out and see if they make sense over the last couple of weeks, so I can't exactly say no beta anymore, can I?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with having a beta. It's your second pair of eyes.
Yeah.
So, a pleasure to help. A pleasure to help. I can read very good stories that way.
Oh.
And shame.
This is a tracking tornado.
But me, shame. It's like when I first started with my work, I wish I had a beta now, but again, it's one of those things you just come along to a point of the people you can trust to go through your work and have an idea of what you want to get out of it and that. So it all comes with experience and help from others, though, which are why reviews are so useful as well.
I think from what I've gathered over the last couple of months from speaking to people, I think it could be better to have more than one person beta your story. Not necessarily beta it, but I mean read the story. Due to the fact that one person has one person's likes and dislikes with it might be another person's likes and a person may have different dislikes and likes. Yeah.
Well, something that a beta, if they're doing their job right, we actually boost a writer's confidence. So that, especially with newer writers, if you start with a beta who's actually, being a beta, not just whining or telling you, hey, I want this character put into the story and everything's wrong if you didn't put this character in. Not those kinds of betas. But like the really good betas, if you have those when you first start writing, you'll find that it's much easier to actually get that confidence that you build as a writer, and you'll have less insecurities because you're having somebody already tell you what's normal as a writer from their own experience, and also from just the experience they've gathered working with other people and other betas. Because usually if somebody's a beta, they're not just a beta for one person, they're a beta for like 3 or 4.
Mm.
Very good point, yeah. Absolutely. Of course. Marvelous. Well, it's
Harder than having to take agents, like some kind of a random conversation of one of agents and stuff, and make it a romance scene.
There you go. Yeah.
I've always wanted a beta reader for my own story because I have this other completely different story for a different fandom. I have someone that I collaborate with, and the quality on that one, it's like my quality plus my collaborator's quality, and it's just so good. I was hoping if I could find some other a collaborator to work with on the other one that I've got, then I could probably bring that same level of quality to code, basically.
In that case, it's just a question of what exactly is the collaborators stuff and what is yours, and what kind of stuff you can pull from the collaborators and the different things that you're seeing, like it's character development or it's more detail or it's just like pacing or something else or
I guess I more just want a collaborator to get a second opinion mainly.
Perfect.
A lot of the,
Verbatim.
because
Especially
a lot of the times I get blinded by since it's my own work, you tend to be blind to your own mistakes, and I really like for someone to point that out beforehand, like before.
I will say that actually changes with experience. Once you get a lot of experience, you learn and pick up on your weak points a lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with more experience, especially with having beaters go through your work, maybe pick up certain things which you do, and after that, as if you start to realise there's certain things which are constantly miss off or something, and then you can learn from that with the help of the beaters. I know for a fact that I have a habit of over describing things and spending way too much describing the scenery rather than going on to the characters.
I would much rather be over-descriptive than not be descriptive at all.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. Description's a double-edged sword, because if you do put too much, then your reader gets bored, and then they don't want to continue reading anymore, just because they've been reading it for however long it's been, so.
True.
I'm an over-descriptor too, Beyor.
Yeah.
Although I spend most of my time in the characters' heads instead of describing actually what's around them.
I honestly feel like I honestly feel like I'm not descriptive enough. Like sometimes I'll look at these small sentences of me describing the places that characters are in, and what's also more difficult is describing people's mental state in a way that's believable.
Yeah,
You want help with that? Definitely work with me. I'm a psychology nut. So much fun.
I think it's trying to find a balance, isn't it? Yep. Because I have the exact same problem. I mean, I go over this on the server all the time about being too descriptive and not having enough dialogue. It's the biggest complaint I get is that people aren't talking enough. It makes my story go. It seemed too fast, like too fast paced, because people aren't talking.
Yeah, and dialogue tends to be the way to a reader's heart when it comes to characters, because you really get to hear what they're really thinking, and so it's kind of a gateway into their heads. Does that surprise me that it's happened? No. People are weird when it comes to characters.
Fair enough. Yeah, everyone does have their own personal opinions about if certain things work or not, but yeah, stuff like that, saying you've got it directly from the source material, and you're guessing they have a problem with the source material then rather than your work, so. So I like to think about even if because there's always those few which have very it's beyond critical, but just throwing stuff out there just to make you feel bad, whatever. But I just try and pick out the bits which actually do make sense in terms of what you can improve on, and then go off there rather than be bogged down with the very harsh words put into it.
The issue is with reviews like that, unless you get multiple of them, take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because that usually means that they just want something in their story, and in a lot of cases, they'll bully you until they get it.
Yeah, because it's especially with such conflicts and that, it's better to and a bit more detail in it rather than just completely skipping over it, because that helps build on to not only the story itself but also the characters and saying that they've experienced stuff and maybe learned or not learned from certain situations. So it really does help and benefit whatever story you're writing. So
It also immerses the reader a little bit more.
exactly.
I do. I do remember on one of the stories I read, going back to someone's point about readers trying to bully you into doing a certain thing, and I remember getting a comment saying, "You should put these two characters together," and every single chapter said you should put these two characters together. You should put these two characters together. I remember replying to them saying, "If you tell me to put these two characters together, I'm going to kill both of them off."
Nice.
Nice. You took the Horikoshi approach.
I didn't get another comment saying put these two characters together.
Nice.
Wait, what?
There you go.
Dude.
Me.
Yeah, that's the classic Horikoshi approach. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, so Horikoshi is the I forgot his full name, but Horikoshi is the guy who created My Hero Academia, and he was continuously getting death threats from the deranged portion of the fandom that told him that they were basically giving him death threats if their homosexual ships, it did not become canon. He posted a chapter where someone was close to death or they lost a limb or something. I forgot what it was, but that was basically his response of you try and threaten me again, I'll finish the job. I will finish what I started.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
that's why I said you took. That's why I said you took the Horikoshi approach.
I am a god who is influenced by your peer pressure, so go away before I decide to kill them and be done.
We did have a discussion on the server the other day, I think. Myself, Panzer, and Twisted, we were saying, we were talking about killing characters. Well, I was killing characters. I said to them, like, you've got to be prepared to kill everybody off or kill no one. You can't really, and like that's in my opinion, you can't find a middle ground or show favoritism to certain characters. Obviously, not everyone's going to feel the same way. I always go into a story and put in these characters with the idea of, would I be willing to kill this character off if it came to it?
That's an interesting way of thinking of it. Yeah.
If it's a yes, they'll be in the story. If it's a no, I don't usually have them in it. So for future reference, if you're ever reading one of my stories and if a character's not in it, then chances are that's probably why.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's like, yeah, so I guess it's in a way, if once you know that, and when you start reading it, you think, oh god, that you could kill off any of these characters at any moment. So it does definitely put some tension and suspense into it.
Let me tell you, do not bite the hand that feeds you, please.
Spoilers, Jesus. But yeah, we'll see how that develops. But yeah, it's interesting because if a cliffhanger's done well, fine. That a good cliffhanger really does wonders. But
Yeah,
if it's done
I
not
sometimes get
great,
really mad at cliffhangers, especially with some of the really good stories that I follow. But I can understand cliffhangers.
Oh, I love me a cliffhanger. Absolutely love them. I absolutely love them. Chuck one at the end of the chapter.
You know what my least favorite part about good stories is? Is when they end and now you gotta wait for the next one, or the next chapter or whatever. Oh,
That's what I was about to say. Just chuck a cliffhanger on at the end of a chapter and don't update it for months.
yeah, yeah.
What, me?
That sounds like me. Yeah.
I guess it's just having constant cliffhangers again and again. It's like, I'm watching a TV show. I'm watching a. Oh god, I distinctly remember Yu-Gi-Oh! Every single episode, it was just there was some cliffhanger of some kind.
Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was rife with cliffhangers.
Oh, it was great though. Isn't it great?
Will he be able to save his grandfather from the Shadow Realm, where his soul will be tortured forever? Like,
To be continued. Yeah, it can be entertaining of certain cliffhangers that work well in that, but whether a good cliffhanger really leaves an impact. Alternatively, it brings the entire meme culture out of it. See JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for that. I'm sorry, but when a cliffhanger manages to spring an entirety of memes out of it, that you know when that's done right. Oh god, that was that was. Mm-hmm. So yeah, since I've got some good points, how about for the, I think, final story snippet? You're up, Len.
Ready as I'll ever be, I suppose.
Yep. And this is 50-50.
This is the one that the person who wrote it isn't even here, so I don't have to worry about messing up in front of them, at least. Send it to them, yeah. It's like, obviously, I'm not going to deliberately mess up. It would be disastrous. What one was it? 50-50, right?
It was 50-50.
Oh, right, here we go then. Another buzz broke me out of my train of thought, and one of the targets disappeared before I could so much as twitch my finger to shoot it. Focus, idiot, I chastised myself. The next target popped up and I yanked the trigger back with more force than necessary to hit it right in its head. Yeah, if Ikuchi's getting as bad as Serena says he is, who knows what he's going to do when he finds out she turned on him, he said as I focused on shooting one target after another, falling into the trance of action and reaction. Sinon paused, like she was trying to find the right words as I shot the last target. The buzzer went off, but she still didn't say anything. She wrinkled her nose and then said, "You going to confront him about SAO?" I didn't answer her right away, but there was no avoiding it. As much as I wanted to, I had a promise to keep.
Ooh. Very well done. Bravo. That was very good, very well done. Thank you. And that sounds very well done. I know I sound like a broken record, but yeah, it sounds very well done.
Tiger, off you go.
Indeed.
Yeah, of course.
It's nice as well, especially because all these very talented people as well. Everyone can bounce off each other with ideas, and hopefully spring further with bigger, better, grander ideas, perhaps as well, and perhaps a bit more chaos as well on the sidelines. But it's just good to see all these people interact and see what ideas can spring from it as well. So. I guess we'll leave it yet again with Tiger to describe the story as a whole.
Alrighty, so 50/50 is a story that's told pretty much completely in in first person. Apparently my brain's not working. I get grief. It's told in first person, and its main character is Sinon. So if you like Sinon, you're gonna love her. She's a side character along with the quote-unquote technically the reader. And it's in GGO, so we see a lot of those characters. We see some new ones, as you heard, one of the OC's names, and it's about finding a balance where there's something dangerous going on, but at the same time, you have to sit there and balance your emotions and how they're changing. And with all of that chaos, it gets really chaotic, but it's also extremely interesting. You also see a lot of different types of gun work and all kinds of stuff like that in this one. So if you like GGO and Sinon, this is a good story for you.
Very interesting. Yeah, I'll add it immediately to my reading list.
This is really annoying.
Yeah. With fine addition to my collection. It's the same with all the stories, really. Just all of them seem very fine additions just to have it be perfect reading material. But I do have a personal soft spot for characters and of GGO and the arc as well. I do like that. So yeah, definitely, it's going to definitely get a good review from me, and perhaps a review, we shall see.
As I mentioned earlier, I haven't, well, apart from that first chapter of Code, Talon's story, I haven't read anybody's story. And the more I read, the more I hear the snippets and the little sections that people have, the more people talk about them. You see the self-promotion and everything. Like, which one do you start with? Like, where do you go to start? Now, come on. Like, I understand, like, everybody's obviously, you need to read this one first. Or that one, or whatever.
It doesn't matter which one to read first. So eventually you end up reading them all.
No. The thing is though, I've had I think three stories saved on my library for about 6 years, something like that. So if I remember correctly, It's Fairy Dance of Death, a monochrome duet,
That one you...
and
Okay, if you haven't read that one, that's the one you should read first.
the other one is the other one. The other one was Einkrad Retold.
Yeah.
Wait, you haven't read mine?
And there's still only one chapter out.
Yeah. Is this like the fanfiction equivalent of, you know, like in YouTube, the sub for sub thing? Is it, I'll read yours and you read mine? Oh,
Oh.
yeah, it's like the
Nice.
Right, the follow for follow thing.
yeah. Oh god, those are the days on YouTube.
I looked down the list of server members, and apparently there's someone called Privy Sage's pupil. Nain, do you have like a
Not Beyor. It was Beyor.
It's Beyor.
Oh, it's okay. I did Beyor. All right.
You have a pupil now?
Yeah, he'd done it like an hour ago.
Yeah. Yeah. God.
Would make Twisted proud.
Had your choice of all the sages and you chose this one.
I'm sure Twisted Dwarfs will be very proud in you as well. Very, very proud. I'll just stick to my very unromantic area for now.
We'll stick to our own corners.
Yeah.
You can. There's 4 sages and 4 corners. That's what it is. But now Nain's corner is a bit overcrowded, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I am willing to attempt to read more of a perhaps more romantic stuff, but I've never really been more interested in it, I suppose. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm willing to give it more of a shot.
He wants like realistic romance, not like cliches and stuff. Then that's what I do
Marvelous.
with actual plots.
Good. That's if I was going to read some, that would be the best kind. I'm fine with cliches to an extent, but when they become a bit too cliche in certain areas,
I don't mind any cliche unless it's a romantic cliche. Then I hate it because it's not realistic. It doesn't make sense.
Fair enough.
I mean, it really depends on how you execute it. Like,
yeah, but that's it.
I've used cliches before. It's just I don't want to use the cliche because it's a cliche. Like it's so overused that it's become a cliche.
Yeah, it's one of those things of this is one of the reasons why I don't hugely care for spoilers in terms of telling me information of what's going to happen next. It's for me, it's not the spoiler of what's going to happen. It's how it's executed. Even if it's a event which is you can see from a mile away, if it's done very well, I don't mind. I would still enjoy it. But if it's like, well, that's well, there's no point then. So
well, I'm not laughing at what you're saying.
My stuff is very plot heavy.
Lovely.
With the romance.
I'm meeting with this vampire lord at the moment. He's got this unique vampire sword but it is so small when compared to my giant holy sword that was given to me by a Daedric prince. Like, mine is so... Mine's bigger than his.
Got him. But yeah,
you were saying? I'm sorry, I interrupted.
I do prefer more of a plot-orientated stuff, even if it's of a different genre, which I don't hugely read into or like. If it's a good plot and I can get behind it and I can understand it to an extent, and it's interesting to read more into it, I don't mind the genre. So
obviously, that's the dream, isn't it? Is to, even if it's a genre you don't like, if the story's good, hooks you in, it's the one you want.
exactly.
That means you've executed it correctly then. Well, holler if you need any help. Even Twisted sends this stuff to me on occasion. For romance.
Yes, that's and again, we mentioned before, mention again, beauty of betas and that, just so people can read through it and say what's good and bad, and also help you in writing without putting you off. Fair enough.
Tiger.
Yes.
You had proposed that you could beta read for my story code.
Yes, I can.
I would like to take you up on that offer. I think that's how this thing goes.
As a heads up, I'm not going to be looking for I'll be looking for more along the lines of story and pacing and characters and stuff like that instead of like grammar. So I have a grammar agent.
That is perfect. That is exactly what I need.
Basically, the extent of my own checking is just for grammar and spelling mistakes and any like glaring.
If there's anything I trust when it comes to my writing, the most I trust about my writing is my ability to write a cohesive, like a proper sentence.
Yeah.
Like punctuation, spelling, things like that. That's the thing that I trust most when it comes to my writing is my ability to spell.
Yeah, of course, I'm the exact same. I very rarely make a mistake, but I just use it as an excuse to force myself to read through the chapter I've just written.
My version of the spelling is missing an entire word.
Well, to the point.
What of SAO? There it is.
All you need is more and more experience.
To search from my long ago forgotten friends. For the place I hear all sailors.
Sorry, what?
Wait, what?
That's what you were singing.
It was bones in the ocean. The song. It's called Bones in the Ocean.
Yeah, that's true. What Beyor said. As long as you don't butcher it as canon Eincrad, you're good. And I agree with that. You can't really get much worse than in the Romance Department than the original Eincrad.
It's the bar.
That was
As long as you can remain above that bar, then there you go.
I tried to swing my sword at a vampire. I ended up hitting my friend, and now the entire Vampire Slayer guild is on my ass. I have to reload. God damn it. I hate my life. Oh,
Yeah, definitely.
Let's not dig up that. Let's not dig up that.
The topic of this whole server, the whole reason for it is how bad it is. I mean, obviously, it's not the reason. It's the reason for the podcast. For us to just complain. Who could it be then?
Yep, SAO Fanfiction Central. We love SAO, but gosh darn it, we can do it better.
We can rebuild it. We have the technology.
Rebuild? That's not rebuild. It's redo the whole thing from top to bottom. It's complete redo.
Who would be in charge of it then? Would we just have Count as the one in charge of this foundation?
I guess so.
All right.
I don't know. Count's not really here very much. He's here and there.
Here and there, and always around.
Right, give me a minute.
Oh. I'll summon Cthulhu again. I'm not sure if he has how much success he'd had in the first go around, but yeah. Oh yeah. I still need to check Twisted's Dark Fantasy as well. Yeah. Okay. Ominous. I like Warhammer 40k. I think I'll be fine.
I'm trying to remember. I don't recognize the title. Is that the crossover?
No.
Story? I can't remember.
What's the name of the story again? It's bugging me. The Dark Fantasy.
I have no idea.
There it is. Marvelous. I do like me dark fantasy and other things on those lines, so marvelous. I guess it's a sign that it's a good story, saying that if you're not a huge fan of the genre, but yet you're still reading it, that's a sign of a good one. If you're not truly, you don't truly like the genre, but you're liking the story, I think that's a good indication that it's a very good story. Or you could just be a masochist. But yeah, there's so much good stuff out there, and I need to read, and it's just time is the issue. You just need the time. Yeah, there's a lot to keep up on. Indeed. The duality of man. God. What is Len doing? What is Len doing? He's been typing for ages. Ah. Yes. Oh God. I'll give you the name of the third one, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. They were, yeah, just very, very. I know it's just done for jokes and that, but it's just it's just really well done. God. Yeah, no, he's definitely very good with it. So
We're about to enter super meta zone here because I've just gone with using myself here. This probably isn't the best one I've done so far, but hey, here you go.
bravo. And then just like a Patreon link underneath. Bravo, well done.
That makes 4 now, I think.
Yeah, a lot's come from this idea, but all of them are just as good as each other. So, and hopefully, much more springs from it in the future.
That'll be animations once I finally finish one of them.
Yeah, so how those come along?
Slow. Yeah, it's taken a while just to get the first one done.
Nice.
Mainly because I'm working on another project right now, so it'll get most likely it'll get done right after I finish that other project. So
Sounds good. But it's good to keep spending time on them rather than to rush things through, because rushing things through never works.
Yep. Hey, SAO ain't the only fandom out there to write for.
This is mommy.
There is millions of them. If there is a franchise, there is a fandom for it.
Is that what you want? Say yes or no.
Yes.
Your favorite snack food?
Christmas tree.
Oh yeah, all coming together. So yeah, is there anything else anyone else wants to add? Anything really? Just anyone really.
Rabbit shrimps.
You know, some of the battling that you might be hearing, it's my little brother. He's at the table with me.
General Kenobi.
Turn your headset.
There's two hellos and two General Kenobi.
This is disastrous. This is disastrous. That's 0 out of 2.
Yes, I think that would be because you are a bold one. Oh, they're in sync as well. Yes.
Like a fine addition to my collection. Oh, and if I'm gonna say something by General Grievous, I gotta do Obi-Wan. Hello? Oh, wait, no. Hello there.
So uncivilized. There you go. Yes, well, oh, spot on, lovely. Wonderful. Well, if there isn't much, we've already 2 hours. If there isn't much else to talk about, I guess it would be a perfect opportunity to draw it to a conclusion. Oh yes, the next podcast would be on the rest of season 2, which is technically 2 arcs, I suppose.
I have no idea.
Technically, the animated
It's
stuff
the,
all pulled together.
Yeah.
Tale of Two Yukis, yeah.
Yeah. Pancrat's he's doing pretty good. Sinon's best waifu, and we can do it better. Basically. So yeah, that's basically it, I suppose. And next time will be yeah, that's yeah, but it'll be yeah, as you say, the Tale of Two Yukis, I suppose. God, I don't remember much of that at all, so that'll be an interesting rewatch of that. You will get there. You will get there. You're halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer. Here could be the end, I suppose. On that bombshell.
See ya.
She jokes.
Oh, wow.
All right, I'm gonna get going. I'm really tired. See you
Right.
guys later.
All right.
See ya. You know.